but it also has an effect that the impact of each and every individual in your organization can either build up your name, image, and reputation, or they can tear it down. And that's a choice. That's a choice you have to educate and train. George Miliotis, who was the general manager of the Contemporary Hotel, the way he trained this is whenever he would hire a dishwasher, he would take them into the gorgeous room that was all set up for the evening, all the tablecloths, all the china, everything was totally set. However, he'd done a little bit of pre-work. He had made sure that the place setting they were going to be seated at had a little bit of a lipstick smear on the glass, that there was a little bit of crusted food still left on the fork. So when this dishwasher came and sat with him to have lunch, and he talked about his values and what was important to working at the Contemporary, as the dishwasher would pick up the glass and the fork, you'd see the look of disgust on his or her face. And that's when George would make the point. Every person counts. We can plan the menus. We can set up a gorgeous facility, but it's up to you and doing your job that's going to create an impression and memorable experience for our guests. So now the second element to the customer experience is your physical environment. And if you don't have a physical environment, it could be your website that they see. It could be you in your uniform or presence in itself. But it's everything your customer sees, hears, smells, and touches before they even see you or an employee. Have you ever walked into a restaurant and smelled something or saw something and you said, nope, family, we're not eating here? All right? So it has an impact, does it not? So what is your message saying? Is it sending the message of trust? Is it sending the message of peace of mind? If I get your brochure and I see that you've got misspells all over it, I'm not too sure I want to do business with you if you're in the accounting business or insurance business, right? So even, you know, when I go into locations such as blood banks or hospitals and doctors' offices, those environments are speaking messages in the lobby areas, the waiting room areas, and just because you're not-for-profit doesn't mean you have to look cheap and look poor. It simply means that you have to recognize, looking through the lens of the customer, what's going to carry across your message that you've determined. So that's everything speaks. Everything speaks in your physical environment.
Is giving your employees the tools that they need to be able to deliver service excellence. Because I truly believe most employees do not get up in the morning and say, I cannot wait to go in and get a customer angry with me. I just can't wait to go in and screw up today. I believe that they want to come in and do a good job. And whether it's radios, walkie-talkies, phones, something as simple as a pen, printers. One company has a hotline where if a customer asks an employee a question they don't know the answer, they can call this extension number and get an answer so that they're not embarrassed by not knowing the answers.
So the key is, first of all, to identify for all of your employees is what is the result of what you do? What is the feeling you want your customers to have? Is it trust in you? Is it confidence in you? Is it peace of mind, perhaps, like in your business with health savings accounts? It might be peace of mind that I've done the best thing. By identifying that, you give a higher purpose and inspiration. So now, when I come in to do my work, maybe my work is just recording numbers on a log in a back office in your location. But if I know, though, the purpose to those is that I'm delivering trust to my customers, it makes me feel more inspired and motivated in doing my job. So recognizing that's where it starts, then you've got to create the customer experience that will give that message out each and every transaction that you have with your customers. Now, in researching that 68% of customers who are fickle to you, do you think that it's because in the experience they received poor, rude service? Because it's not identified as that. That when customers were asked, what do you mean you got poor service, they defined it as the attitude of indifference. Now, have you ever engaged with an employee in a business and they've shown you an attitude of indifference? What does that look like? It doesn't look, right? It's usually no eye contact. They continue their conversations with each other. I think, though, that most people know how to be rude. Do you know how to be rude? But I do think, though, that sometimes there's a fine line in exactly what is that attitude of indifference. Exceeding expectations. Two types, planned and spontaneous. This was a business decision by Walmart to have a greeter when you walk into their stores. They can pull out the cart so you're not getting frustrated right away by them being stuck together. They can give you directions, and they can give you that smile. How can I help you? It's a business decision. It's a business decision by Southwest Airlines that they're going to have a live human being answer their reservation center. I didn't believe that at first when somebody told me, so I called them, and sure enough, I got a real person. I was so excited, I hung back up and redialed again just to see if that would happen again, and it did. Those are planned. It's planned when you go to Blockbuster and you're checking out, and the clerk says, this is a really good movie, because they're validating, as we all sit there thinking, I wonder if I got a good movie this time. They're validating it for you to make you feel good. Not all things, though, can be planned. That you have to look for opportunities where people can explore on their own. And one of the programs that has been one of my favorites was called Take 5. And what it meant was for Disney cast members, they could take 5 minutes. They were empowered to do something that would exceed the expectations of one of their guests throughout their shift. That's all they had, 5 minutes. Do something that would exceed the expectations of one of your guests. And then they were invited that when they saw that this had reflected in a wow for a guest, that they'd share it so it could become a best practice. One of my very favorites was of a housekeeper. She was doing her regular job, and being a housekeeper at Disney is no more special than being a housekeeper anywhere else. She still cleaned the bathrooms, vacuumed the floors, changed the beds. But after she did those chores, she then took 5. She noticed that the family had some little plush animals placed in the room that they had purchased. She took the little animals, put them around the dinette set, noticed that there was a deck of cards, gave each one a hand of cards. When the family came home, it looked like they'd been having a good time playing. The next day, she went back into the room. She changed the beds, vacuumed the floors, cleaned the bathrooms. She then lined up the little plush animals, tucked them in bed, gave Mickey Mouse the remote control. The family wrote a letter to Michael Eisner and said it was just as much fun coming home to see what the housekeeper had done as it was going into the park for the day. Customer service, the ideal customer experience, has got to be planned and it's got to be managed. It doesn't just happen. If it does, it's luck. And so I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes of a wise old man by the name of Aristotle. We are what we do repeatedly. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit. So I thank you very much.